Okay. Um, this is my mom. And this is also my mom. And even though I hadn't spoken to one of them up until a few months ago, I will never stop loving them. Despite their differences, I will never stop loving them. One is in her 30s. One is in her 50s. One lives across country and raised my half-sister Velvet. One lives here and raised me. One is short. I honestly don't know the height of the other. One is my mom, the other is my birth mom. And I'll never stop loving either of them, ever. Even when I have to explain the whole concept of my real mom, even when I explain that my real mom is the person who raised me, and even when I've thought along those terms myself, I'll never stop loving either of my moms, ever. This is what I want to communicate to you today, that if you're an adopted kid who has found out, or is known, or has never known that you are adopted, if you're a birth parent or an adoptive parent, that you are loved, and that you are loved, and that you are loved. But see, the ideas that people have about adoption are kind of mind-blowing because there's stigma with it like everything else in the world. For example, one of our guidance counselors at our school is adopted, and she told me the story of her brother, herself, and her friend, all of which were adopted, and how there were a bunch of weird stories that came with it. The one I want to share with you today is that the guidance counselor told me that she was afraid that if she got in contact with her birth mom, or at least her birth parents, that her mom would be nervous or at least feel less loved. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what, you will feel loved and loved and loved. See, the thing about adoption being a bad thing, it's wrong. And it really, you can find all this stuff about stigma and adoption on all these different sites, but it's all wrong. I mean, if you look on the Huffington Post and Psychology Today, there are all these things about these misconceptions about adoption and stories about people who, people who have experienced all these bad things about adoption. For example, I myself have experienced the whole real mom thing, and I myself have gotten questions like, why did your mom want to get rid of you, or why did your mom want to give you up for adoption? And it's not the fact that it's a bad thing. It's wrong. Because if you adopt a kid, he or she will feel loved, and he or she will have a home, and he or she will have friends, and he or she will have a family, and they will feel loved and loved and loved. And just, again, stigma and adoption, it's mind-blowing. And like I said, there's articles all over the place where you can find things about stigma and adoption, and just Google it. It's amazing. But I want to talk about particular stigma with particular types of adoption. For example, I have an open adoption, and what an open adoption is essentially is when someone basically is in contact with their birth mother or birth father or birth family over the course of their life. For example, my open adoption was essentially my mom and my birth mom texting back and forth up until I turned 18, which then became me FaceTiming my birth mom pretty much every week. And for my adoption especially was kind of unique. Like I said, I got gifts for birthdays and Christmases, and I got to imagine what it was like to meet my birth family and stuff like that. I mean, that's my birth mom up there, and and that's my half sister, and I got to imagine these hopes and dreams I had about them, and like I would want to find out. I wanted to grow up, and I wanted to see my half sister grow up, and I wanted to see her get old and have kids of her own and get married. I wanted them to see me get old and have kids of my own and get married, and I just wanted to be part of their lives. So one day I kind of took the plunge. I went out to my computer and got my birth mother's number while my dad was watching Game of Thrones. I mean, I didn't even tell him, and I put it in. I put it in my phone. Well, I was wrapped in this white comforter that was like dripping feathers because there's a huge hole in it. And I basically dialed the number. I double, triple checked it. And I eventually got to the point where she texted me back. But this whole time I had been thinking, please God, let this go well for me. Please God, let me be happy. And then she texted me back, and I felt loved and loved and loved. And see, the thing is, I feel so much love from my birth family, and I feel so much love for my birth family. I feel like they're part of my adoptive family, and I feel like my adoptive family is part of my birth family. I feel like we all feel loved and loved and loved. And see, that's the thing. I basically know that I am loved and loved and loved, but I'm really only one perspective in this whole grand scheme of things. There's my mom and my dad and my birth mom and my half sister, and I can actually help you communicate one of their perspectives to you, because I did an interview with my birth mom basically a few weeks ago, and she had some interesting points to say. So I want to play a few clips of that for you. And the first clip is about religion. Please enjoy.
I
think that should be playing.
Yeah. Our birthday prayer is, it goes, many happy returns from the days of thy birth. May sunshine and gladness be given. And may the dear Father prepare thee on earth for a beautiful birthday in heaven. That's our birthday chant. So we always kind of brought that into what we were doing.
Yeah.
Church was wonderful for me. I loved going to church when I was a girl.
Yeah, so basically, as you heard, she loved going to church when she was a girl, and she wanted my parents to have strong beliefs because she had strong beliefs. That's what she wanted from my parents. But I'm agnostic, but I still feel loved and loved and loved by my birth mother. And finally, I want to communicate something to you, because I've basically said over the course of the talk that you were loved and that you were loved and that you were loved, and I feel like I have to confirm this for you. So this last clip, I hope, will confirm for any adopted kid or birth mother or adoptive parent that they are loved and loved and loved. And I hope I can say this to my birth mother, my half-sister, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and myself for a long time to come.
Would just be that I think that I really do love you. So.
God, yeah. I love you so much.
Thank you.